My name is Alessandro Romano. I am 42 years old, and for nearly 20 years, my only faith was science. As an oncologist at San Gerardo Hospital in Monza, I lived by data, protocols, and probabilities. I trusted what could be measured and reproduced. If something could not be quantified, it did not belong in my world. I had stopped believing in God during my university years, when molecular biology revealed to me a universe governed by chemical reactions and genetic mutations. Cancer, in particular, convinced me that existence was indifferent. I had seen too many children suffer to accept the idea of a loving creator. In April 2006, my daughter Chiara was 8 years old. She had hazel eyes full of curiosity and a laugh that filled every corner of our home. She dreamed of becoming a veterinarian and spent hours practicing the piano, her small fingers moving with surprising determination. When she began complaining of abdominal pain, I dismissed it at first. But my wife Elena insisted we investigate. The ultrasound showed a 7-centimeter mass near her right kidney. I recognized the shape immediately. The biopsy confirmed what I already knew. Neuroblast. Further scans revealed stage 4 disease, with metastases to bone and bone marrow, and later to the liver and lungs. The prognosis was devastating. I had given those statistics to other parents many times. Now they were mine to carry. That night, Elena and I wept in silence. We decided to tell no one. I could not endure the pity of colleagues who saw me as the doctor who saved children. The irony was unbearable. We began Chiara's treatment at a hospital outside Milan under false names. The chemotherapy was aggressive. It stole her hair, her appetite, her strength. She lost weight rapidly, yet she still smiled and asked when she could return to her piano. I lied to her gently each time. By day, I treated other children, speaking words of hope to their families. By night, I drove long distances to sit beside my daughter during her infusion. I held her hand while poison meant to save her flowed through her veins. Elena turned to prayer with a desperation I could not understand. I would wake in the middle of the night and find her kneeling beside the bed, whispering into the darkness. Once, in frustration, I asked her who she thought was listening. She answered softly, "Let me speak to the emptiness. It's all I have." In October 2006, 2 crises converged. Chiara's scans showed further progression. At the same time, a 15-year-old boy named Carlo Acutis was admitted to my hospital with acute promyelocytic leukemia. Carlo's condition deteriorated quickly, yet he remained calm. I found him one afternoon working on a website about Eucharistic miracles. He spoke of faith with an assurance that unsettled me. During my visits, he gently questioned my atheism. He asked how I endured suffering without believing in something beyond biology. I replied that I believed in human dignity and the value of time. He listened carefully, as though weighing my words. On October 11th, I entered his room for what I sensed would be my last routine visit. He was weak but lucid. As I prepared to leave, he asked me to stay. He said he needed to tell me something important. He leaned forward and spoke quietly. "Dr. Romano, your daughter Chiara, has neuroblast stage 4 metastases to the bones, bone marrow, liver, and lungs." The room seemed to collapse around me. No one knew, not my colleagues, not even extended family, only Elena and I. I felt my hands begin to tremble. Carlo looked at me steadily. He said the Lord had shown him during prayer. He described Chiara's face and said he had seen my hidden suffering. He spoke with a calm certainty that defied explanation. I left the room and collapsed in a hospital bathroom, overwhelmed by months of suppressed grief. There was no rational pathway by which he could have known. None. When I returned, Carlo apologized gently if he had frightened me. He told me Chiara would not die. He said her healing would come through means beyond medicine. He asked only that I remain open to the possibility that reality was larger than my instruments. That evening, I told Elena everything. She wept and laughed at once. Carlo died early the next morning. A nurse later told me his final message for me: "Tell the doctor to keep his promise." For the first time in years, I entered a church. I did not know how to pray. I simply spoke into the silence and asked if there was someone listening to save my daughter. A week later, Chiara's tumor markers dropped significantly. Liver lesions had shrunk by 40%. Chemotherapy had been paused, yet improvement continued. My colleagues called it unusual, but not impossible. In the following weeks, the regression accelerated beyond any pattern I had seen in my career. A panel of specialists reviewed her case. The conclusion was clinical and cautious. Spontaneous remission of unknown ET. On November 2nd, Chiara woke with unusual energy. She told us she had dreamed of a boy named Carlo, who said she no longer needed to be afraid. We had never mentioned his name to her. 3 weeks after Carlo's death, a PET scan revealed no trace of disease, no tumor, no lesions, no residual activity. It was as if the previous months had vanished. The official report called it complete spontaneous remission. Unofficially, a colleague admitted he had no scientific explanation. Something in me had shifted irrevocably. I did not abandon science. I still believed in medicine, in research, in disciplined inquiry, but I could no longer pretend that reality ended where measurement stopped. Chiara returned to school. Her hair grew back. The piano once again filled our home with music. Elena's prayers became songs of gratitude. I placed a small photograph of Carlo on my desk at the hospital, not as superstition, but as a reminder that humility belongs in every consultation room. We visited his tomb in Assisi. The following year, Chiara knelt spontaneously and whispered her thanks. I stood behind her, a physician who had built his life on certainty, now aware that some truths are encountered rather than proven. When people ask me how a doctor can believe in miracles, I answer simply, because I witnessed one.